Where did the idea come from?
Well, I think the idea came, good afternoon everybody, basically came from this struggling battle that we all have with our ego, and in this case in a personal battle that I have just turned 50 years last year, and suddenly, welcome to the club, and basically it's just that when you realize and you make kind of a revision of the priorities that you have been given to your life, and some things are missing, some things are great, and some things are not so great. And then I have been just going into a retrospection about how the mechanics of my own perception has been, and I thought that it was incredibly interesting what I have been learning to be aware of how the ego can work. And in my case, in the creative process, my ego had been always a huge inquisitor, a tyrant, kind of dictator that self-loathing, it's very rude and sometimes can be very misleading, because sometimes when I'm doing something, I said, oh, this is great, this is fantastic, you're a genius, and then 20 minutes later I feel like a dead jellyfish, and I said, you're a stupid asshole, what do you think is a piece of shit, nobody will care about it. So it's a constant bipolar relation of my process that I thought, well, the ego is a tyrant, and I thought that would be a cool thing to portray it in a film, so that's the origin.
I just want to say, don't restrain yourself for people late, because that's great. And then you have an incredible cast, that you brought to this movie, and we're lucky to have them all here today.
Well, I think honestly, without all these great actors and actresses, this film couldn't have been made. I mean, I think not only because obviously actors supposedly are the ones who portray a bigger ego, but that's not true. I think in this case, I always think that politicians and even my dentist has more ego than actors.
I'm gonna say that the dentist.
He's an asshole. He made me suffer and he feels great and I pay him. But anyway, what I'm saying is that honestly, I think all of us, laugh about ourselves. I think the job that Michael and all of them made, it was extremely difficult, demanding, and we were laughing at ourselves because we have some sterlings or vultures egos, but we all were reflected in that, and more than laughing of anybody, we were laughing at ourselves. So it was a self-therapy, but I think the craft and the humanity and what they bring to the film was basically what made the film. I think without, this is their film, I have to say.
These guys made you suffer? That's true?
Tried.
Yeah.
I go through with Alejandro goes through, I do the same thing. I go through, I think, oh, you're the greatest and you're wonderful and all these wonderful things. And then like Alejandro 20 minutes later, the difference is 20 minutes later I go, no, you're actually more than that, Michael. It keeps getting bigger. Okay, crickets. He's thinking, whoa.
Okay, questions? Microphone right here.
Thanks so much. Congratulations. What an extraordinary film for everyone. For Michael Keaton, what is this amazing career reemergence felt like since the film opened in Venice for you? And what do you think about this character you're playing, this very contradictory, actor, writer, director? Is he crazy? Is he depressed? Is he hearing voices or whatever? And did you keep a Birdman outfit?
First answer, how does it feel? It feels good. The second is, what was the second? Oh, what do you think about the character? The character is Alejandro, so you should ask him. No, the character is really, one of the most difficult things I've done, not in terms of the character necessarily, but in terms of how the film was made. And you've seen it now, so you have to within sometimes 30 seconds or 49 seconds, you have to surf a lot of different emotions and be part of this giant picture, fit into this giant picture. And because this picture is always shifting and moving, it's got so many levels, so therefore it was really, really difficult. But I like that. I like difficult most of the time. And no, to the third question, did I keep one? And what a great idea. How stupid am I not to keep one? But I'm now thinking of a way to get one.
Stand up.
Hi, Michael, this is a question for you, and then I guess the rest of the cast could chime in if they'd like.
They can't, but go
They
ahead.
can? Sure. You were also in another film that had to deal with critics and Broadway called 86, which I really enjoyed. And I was wondering, since this is something that you've touched upon in 2 films, both recently, do you have any thoughts on the role critics play in just careers?
No, this is where I'm really a dope, and certainly in other ways as well. But I make it really simple. I used to think the job, when you start doing this, and when the first play I ever did back in Pittsburgh, someone walked up and said, "Hey, I read the thing in the paper. They said you were real good," something like that. And I hadn't even thought of that part, and I still often don't think of that part. But what I thought originally was, you should be courageous and read everything. And I did that a couple of times, and I thought, well, I don't want to do that anymore. That's just miserable. So I don't really bother. Not like, oh, I don't bother. I just don't do it. And I admittedly, if someone says, hey, you got a really nice read, I'll read it. I'll go, okay, I'm willing to make myself feel better. I ain't gonna fight that. It's real simple for me. But I think, unless I'm really stupid here, and there's a strong possibility that's true, I think I've been treated basically fairly, but I'm the wrong person to ask, There's probably a lot of you out there going, oh, no, you haven't. But I think it's been basically pretty fair. I don't know. I'm a bad, I'm the wrong guy to ask in a lot of ways. I really like Game 6, by the way. That was a really nice, Don DeLillo story.
Does anyone else down the line have a comment about the critics?
Another thing you want to vent?
How long do we have?
Hi. The thing I'd like to say, I think, is that what I really love in the film, I love that there's a critical presence in the film, because for me, and I don't read reviews because I find them debilitating, not because I don't respect them. The relationship that I have, especially in theatre, with critics is that though it may sometimes from actors come across as sort of a hostile thing, I think actually what it is fear. And Michael was talking earlier about the thick fog that you see in Los Angeles when you come in, being a thick layer of fear lying over the city. And so the reverence that I feel in response to the critics really is what it is. It's more like fear. They saw Gambon do his bit back in the day, and now they're going to come and see me. It makes me just want to shit myself. So I think
We don't want that.
It's just inappropriate. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
And I've never had a bad review, so I'm not quite sure what you're talking about, but it sounds familiar. But I've heard people talk about it, but I've never had one, so it's great.
Trent.
Yeah. When it came to developing your role, each of you in this, a theater person for a film, I'd like to know from those of you who had your own real theater experience, and I think pretty much you all have, how you translate that theater experience, your history, into doing it here in a film. How that character developed in part perhaps because of experiences you have had in the theater, disastrous or not. I mean, this is a piece with a fair amount of magical realism in it. I maybe suddenly realized, yes, I've seen some magical realism in theater in my own life. Fortunately, it doesn't happen to me, it's happened to those around me. And the whole thing getting locked out of the dressing room in your underwear, I've seen people go through these things. So,
Are you in casting or something?
so I'd like to know from you, tell us about your experience as an actor or actress on stage and how this translated into this role.
Ask the theater folks.
Yeah.
Well, I can say that I haven't done a huge amount of theatre, but just from back in the days where we were studying and, you know, doing plays then, a lot of my nightmares revolve around being on the stage and forgetting my lines or having the wrong clothes on or no clothes at all. And, you know, it is that classic recurring nightmare. A lot in the way this film was shot, with the speed and the high stakes and the technicalities and the dependency on each other and the also the effects, you know, the prop things, the cameras, the lighting and the removing of tables and putting them back, you know, all of those things sort of created this high level of intensity and pressure that felt sort of emblematic of how it feels on the stage, or at least my long time memories from long ago. Yeah, I think the process of making this film was so thoroughly enjoyable and so disciplined that I think I can speak for most of us that the actual making of it was as good as the result. And we were saying before that, you know, we had such a great experience doing that it almost, I mean, of course there's nothing greater than being in a film that translates to audiences and makes people think and feel good and walk away with great revelations in their own life of some kind. But when the process and the experience and the fun of that matches, it's a good feeling.